Remember that clip from Diddy's 50th birthday party? Well, the truth about that night just came out. Word is, an audio recording was played in court, and the moment it started, Diddy broke down. And honestly, no surprise, because what came out was disturbing. I've got the details, and you won't believe who was hurting it with them. Let's get into it. The foundation crumbled, from brotherhood to betrayal. Picture this, two titans of hip-hop, standing side by side for decades, building empires together, sharing stages, celebrations, and what the world thought was an unbreakable bond. Jay-Z and Sean Diddy Combs weren't just business partners, they were brothers in the truest sense of the word, or so we all believe. That clip, that's Jay-Z celebrating with Diddy at his 50th birthday party. All smiles, all love, all fake brotherhood that would eventually crumble faster than a house of cards in a hurricane. But honey, that was before the world knew what was really happening behind those mansion doors, before Cassie Ventura became the hero we didn't know we needed, and before Jay-Z's name would echo through a Manhattan federal courthouse in ways that would make even the most seasoned hip-hop heads gasp. Let's rewind to understand how we got here, because this story is about more than just two moguls. It's about power, manipulation, and how one brave woman brought down an empire built on secrets and shame. For years, Jay-Z and Diddy moved through the industry like they owned it, which, let's be real, they basically did. They collaborated on music projects, with Jay-Z featuring on Diddy's debut album No Way Out in 1997, and they were regularly spotted together at industry events, looking like the ultimate power duo. Remember when having both of them at your party meant you'd officially made it? Those were simpler times, weren't they? But here's where the tea gets scalding hot, because while the world was watching this beautiful friendship unfold, behind closed doors, Diddy was allegedly orchestrating a criminal enterprise that would make Tony Soprano look like a choir boy. And Jay-Z? Well, that's where things get complicated, messy, and downright explosive. The cracks in this seemingly perfect friendship started showing when Cassie Ventura filed her bombshell lawsuit in November 2023. Now let me tell you something about Cassie. This woman is a survivor, a warrior, and quite frankly, the only reason we're having this conversation today. Because while everyone else was too scared, too bought, or too complicit to speak up, Cassie said, "Not today, Satan," and decided to burn down the whole damn system. Her lawsuit wasn't just any lawsuit. It was a 35-page nuclear bomb that detailed a decade of physical and sexual abuse, including savage beatings and coerced participation in what Diddy called freak-offs. And before you ask what freak-offs are, imagine the most inappropriate adult parties you can think of, but orchestrated by someone with unlimited power and zero conscience. Yeah, it's that disturbing. The lawsuit described these events as drug-fueled, inappropriate gatherings with male escorts, often filmed for blackmail purposes. That's like if someone recorded your most embarrassing moments and then held them over your head forever, except infinitely worse and completely illegal. Now here's what's absolutely mind-blowing. The lawsuit was settled the very next day for $20 million. $20 million in 24 hours. That's faster than it takes most people to decide what to watch on Netflix. You know what that tells me? That tells me Diddy knew exactly what skeletons were in his closet, and he was willing to pay whatever it took to keep that closet door sealed shut. But here's the thing about truth. It has this annoying habit of refusing to stay buried, no matter how much money you throw at it. Because Cassie's lawsuit triggered a cascade of over 70 additional civil lawsuits, each one more damning than the last. It's like pulling one thread and watching an entire sweater unravel, except this sweater was woven with decades of alleged abuse, manipulation, and criminal behavior. The floodgates didn't just open, they exploded. We had Jane Roe alleging a gang assault in 2003 when she was just 17, producer Rodney Lil Rod Jones claiming he was forced to engage in and witness inappropriate acts, and eventually, attorney Tony Busby representing over 120 accusers, including a 9-year-old victim. A 9-year-old? Let that sink in for a moment. But where was Jay-Z during all of this chaos? Well, that's where our story takes a turn that nobody saw coming. Because while Diddy's world was imploding, Jay-Z was about to get pulled into the vortex in ways that would forever change their relationship. Enter the civil lawsuit that rocked both their worlds. In October 2024, a woman identified as Jane Doe amended her lawsuit to include Jay-Z as a co-defendant, accusing both him and Diddy of inappropriate conduct with a 13-year-old after the 2000 MTV Video Music Awards. The lawsuit painted a picture so disturbing that it made headlines worldwide and had everyone asking the same question: how deep does this rabbit hole go? According to the allegations, the plaintiff claimed she was outside Radio City Music Hall during the 2000 VMAs when a limousine driver, claiming to work for Diddy, offered to take her to an after party. The story gets darker from there, with claims of being given a drink that made her feel woozy, and allegations that both Diddy and Jay-Z took turns assaulting her while another unnamed female celebrity watched. Now Jay-Z's response was swift and fierce. He didn't just deny the allegations, he came out swinging, calling them idiotic and heinous, and accusing the accuser's attorney Tony Busby of orchestrating a blackmail attempt. His statement was basically a masterclass in legal defense, declaring he would not pay one red penny, and arguing that such serious claims should be pursued criminally, not civilly. But here's where things get interesting, and by interesting I mean absolutely explosive. The accuser's story has had several inconsistencies that emerged during investigation. She claimed to have spoken with a specific celebrity at the party, but that individual's representative confirmed he was on tour at the time. Her father told NBC News he couldn't recall driving 5 hours to retrieve her, contradicting her account. And when pressed by NBC in a December 2024 interview, she admitted to some mistakes in her recollection, but insisted the assault occurred. The plot twist that nobody saw coming? On February 14, 2025, the accuser voluntarily dismissed the lawsuit with prejudice, meaning it cannot be refiled. No explanation was provided, but Roc Nation hailed the dismissal as a victory, labeling the claims frivolous, fictitious, and appalling. But here's the million-dollar question that everyone's asking. If Jay-Z was cleared in this lawsuit, why is his name still echoing through Diddy's federal trial? Why are people talking about audio involving Jay-Z being played in court? And most importantly, how did these two former friends end up on opposite sides of what might be the most explosive celebrity trial of our lifetime? Bombshells in the courtroom, when secrets become evidence. When Diddy's federal trial began on May 5th, 2025, nobody expected it to become the courtroom equivalent of a reality TV show. Except this wasn't entertainment. This was justice finally catching up with someone who thought he was untouchable. And honey, when I tell you the revelations that came out of that Manhattan courthouse, I need you to understand that what we witnessed was nothing short of a complete dismantling of a carefully constructed image that took decades to build. Let's start with the woman of the hour, Cassie Ventura. When she took that stand, she didn't just testify. She delivered a masterclass in courage that left everyone in that courtroom shook.
Right now, things are getting pretty emotional for Cassie Ventura on the stand as she recalls for the jury participating in these sometimes days-long freak-offs, sexual escapades organized by Sean Combs.
This woman looked her abuser in the eye and detailed a decade of manipulation, control, and systematic abuse that would make anyone's blood boil.
Cassie says they used 10 big bottles of baby oil per freak-off, blood and urine all over the walls, and some of the escorts they hired were...
If you're enjoying this story, kindly do us a favor and subscribe to our channel. It is free and won't cost anything, but it means the world to us. We're just a small channel trying to grow. Thank you, and back to the video.
Allegedly from Craigslist.
But here's what's particularly infuriating about this defense strategy. They're trying to paint a victim as complicit in her own abuse. Let me tell you something. Consent cannot exist when there's a power imbalance so severe that one person can threaten to destroy your life if you don't comply.
In order to prove racketeering, the prosecution is going to have to show that Mr. Combs and others conspired together to further illegal acts.
This is classic victim blaming tactics, y'all. They're taking private messages between an abuser and his victim and trying to use them to prove consent, when we all know that victims often have to play along to survive. It's like saying someone enjoyed being robbed because they handed over their wallet without fighting. That exchange right there, that's the sound of accountability finally arriving at someone's doorstep. Cassie understood exactly what she was doing when she filed that lawsuit. She was bringing down a monster, and she did it knowing it would cost her everything, but knowing it was worth it to save others. But Cassie wasn't the only one brave enough to speak truth to power. The testimony that really exposed the systematic nature of Diddy's alleged crimes came from someone the court documents refer to as the Punisher. And let me tell you, his testimony was absolutely explosive. Hold up, let me break this down for you because this contradiction is absolutely wild. This man testified that Diddy was giving him directions about moving cameras during these sessions, but then turned around and said he never saw any filming. That's like saying someone told you to turn up the music, but there was no music playing. Make it make sense. This is exactly what happens when someone is trying to protect themselves while still telling some version of the truth. He saw Cassie sighing and wincing. Clear signs of distress, but suddenly during cross-examination, he's claiming she wasn't uncomfortable. That's like watching someone cry and saying they looked happy. But here's where the testimony gets even more disturbing, because this witness gave us a detailed look into exactly how these alleged crimes were orchestrated. Listen to that systematic approach. They had a whole schedule, a whole routine, specific requirements about appearance. This wasn't spontaneous. This was a well-oiled machine of exploitation. And the fact that Cassie was looking at Diddy during these sessions tells you everything you need to know about who was really in control. That behavior right there, that's not the behavior of someone participating in consensual adult activities. That's the behavior of someone who views other people as entertainment, as objects for his amusement, throwing money like they're performers in his personal show. Absolutely disgusting. Special sessions, that's what Cassie allegedly called them. But you know what that really sounds like? That sounds like someone trying to cope with trauma by giving it a euphemistic name. That's like calling an assault a special hug. It doesn't make it any less violent. And then we had Dawn Richard, a former member of Danity Kane, who testified about witnessing Diddy's physical abuse of Cassie, including a 2009 incident where she saw Combs attempt to hit Ventura with a skillet because she took too long to prepare dinner. When Ventura fell, Combs allegedly punched and kicked her on the kitchen floor. That's like watching someone you know get brutalized and having to live with that trauma for years. Dawn Dawn's testimony didn't stop there. She recounted multiple instances of violence, including Combs punching Ventura in the face with a closed fist at his New York home and punching her in the stomach at a Los Angeles restaurant, causing visible distress. But what's even more chilling is that when Dawn advised Ventura to leave the relationship, Combs threatened her, saying, "You're going to disappear if you keep talking like that." That's straight up mob boss behavior right there. And here's where celebrities start getting dragged into this mess, because Dawn's testimony revealed that Usher, along with Neo and record executive Jimmy Iovine, was present at the 2010 West Hollywood restaurant incident where Combs allegedly assaulted Ventura, but none of them intervened. Imagine being Usher right now, knowing that your name is forever tied to witnessing abuse and doing nothing about it. But wait, there's more. David James, Diddy's former personal assistant, delivered testimony that was so explosive it basically gave us a behind-the-scenes look at how a criminal enterprise operates. James described his role in setting up hotel rooms for the freak-offs, procuring items such as baby oil, lubricant, and other supplies. He also revealed that Combs carried a medicine bag containing illegal substances, which he sometimes obtained under his own name. The picture James painted was of a man so volatile and dangerous that in 2008, he witnessed Combs arm himself with 3 handguns after spotting rival record executive Suge Knight at a diner. James was so scared after this incident that he gave his 6-month notice to quit. That's like watching your boss turn into the Terminator over a dinner sighting. Then we had Regina Ventura, Cassie's mother. And let me tell you, this woman's testimony was the kind that makes you want to call your own mom and tell her you love her. Regina testified about being financially blackmailed by Combs, having to pay him $20,000 via a home equity loan in December 2011 to recoup money he spent on Cassie. This was tied to Combs' displeasure with Cassie's relationship with rapper Kid Cudi. Imagine having to mortgage your house because some megalomaniac is upset about your daughter's love life, but it gets worse. Regina received emails from Cassie detailing Combs' threats to release explicit videos and to have someone hurt both Cassie and Kid Cudi. And when Cassie came home after Christmas 2011, Regina documented bruises on her daughter's body with photographs, which were presented as evidence of physical abuse. Now here's where things get really juicy, and by juicy I mean absolutely explosive. Multiple celebrities have been mentioned throughout this trial, and not just in passing. Michael B. Jordan was referenced due to his brief 2015 relationship with Cassie, which reportedly caused Diddy's jealousy. Britney Spears was noted as attending Cassie's 21st birthday party in 2007, an event significant for marking the start of Ventura's relationship with Diddy. Kanye West was mentioned regarding a 2009 incident where Combs allegedly threatened him over his interactions with Ventura. But here's the bombshell that has everyone talking. While there's no verified evidence of audio specifically featuring Jay-Z being played in court during Diddy's breakdown, the connection between these two former friends has become a central narrative in understanding the scope of this alleged criminal enterprise. And let me tell you, the internet has been absolutely savage about this whole situation. Speaking of savage, nobody, and I mean nobody, has been more relentless in trolling both Diddy and Jay-Z than Curtis 50 Cent Jackson. This man has turned dragging these two into an art form. 50 Cent has been using Instagram to mock both rappers, including posting a milk carton with Jay-Z's face implying he's avoiding Diddy and sharing AI-generated videos of their arrest. The level of pettiness is off the charts. In March 2024, 50 posted, "Anybody seen Jay? LOL." Puff said the ninja emoji ain't answering his phone. LOL. And in May 2025, he shared a slideshow of them with the caption, "Friends till the end, Jay, you still there." That's the kind of calculated pettiness that would make a mean girl jealous. What's particularly telling is how the evidence has been presented in this trial. The prosecution has introduced explicit videos allegedly depicting the freak-offs, but these are sealed and not accessible to the public. However, the 2016 hotel security footage showing Combs assaulting Ventura was shown to the jury, providing visual proof of the violence these women endured. The trial has also revealed the systematic nature of this alleged criminal enterprise. Federal agent Gerard Gannon testified about guns and drugs seized from Combs' mansion, while George Kaplan, another former assistant, described Combs' demanding behavior and job threats. The empire falls, from hip-hop royalty to federal defendant. Y'all, we've reached the point in this saga where we watch a man who once ruled hip-hop like a king get brought down by the very people he thought he could control forever. And let me tell you something, watching Diddy's empire crumble has been like watching the Titanic sink, except nobody feels sorry for the iceberg because the iceberg was the victim all along. The transformation of Sean Combs from hip-hop mogul to federal defendant didn't happen overnight. It was a carefully orchestrated downfall that started the moment Cassie decided to stop being silent and file that nuclear bomb of a lawsuit. And honey, when I tell you that everything that's happened since then has been pure karma serving justice on a silver platter, I need you to understand that this is what accountability looks like when it finally catches up.
They seized firearms and ammunition, including 3 defaced AR-15s and a large-capacity drum magazine. They also seized evidence of the freak-offs, electronic devices that contain images and videos of the freak-offs with multiple victims.
Let's talk about the federal investigation that brought this man to his knees. On March 25th, 2024, the Department of Homeland Security raided Combs' homes in Los Angeles and Miami, and what they found was like opening Pandora's box if Pandora was running a criminal enterprise. We're talking about electronic devices, illegal substances including ketamine, ecstasy, and GHB, 3 illegally modified AR-15 rifles, and over 1,000 bottles of baby oil oil and lubricant. Over 1,000 bottles. That's like having a Costco warehouse of evidence sitting in your house.
You'll see one of those Bearcats, and law enforcement on the other side of those bushes basically is that home that is registered to Bad Boy Films, which is part of Bad Boy Entertainment.
But here's what really gets me heated. The audacity of this man's defense team trying to paint Cassie as some kind of opportunist when she literally testified that she would give back the $20 million settlement if it meant she could erase what happened to her. You don't say that about money if you're in it for a cash grab. You say that when your soul has been so damaged that no amount of money can fix it. See what the defense is trying to do here? They're trying to normalize the control and manipulation by framing it as professional advice. But let me tell you something. There's a difference between a stylist giving you fashion advice and someone controlling every aspect of your appearance as a way to dominate you. That's like saying an abuser was just being helpful when they isolated their victim from friends and family. The evidence against Diddy isn't just overwhelming, it's absolutely devastating. We're not talking about he said, she said anymore. We're talking about video evidence, including that 2016 hotel surveillance footage that CNN released, showing him literally assaulting Cassie in a hallway. When that video dropped, Diddy actually apologized, calling his actions inexcusable and noting he sought therapy and rehab. That's like getting caught red-handed and then trying to apologize your way out of a federal case. Now let's circle back to the Jay-Z situation, because this is where things get really messy. While Jay-Z was cleared when that civil lawsuit was dismissed in February 2025, the damage to his image and his friendship with Diddy was already done. This is a man who built his reputation on being untouchable, and suddenly he's having to defend himself against allegations that would make anyone's career implode. The public reaction has been absolutely savage, and nobody has been more relentless than 50 Cent. This man has turned trolling Jay-Z and Diddy into a full-time job, and honestly, we're here for it. 50's been posting everything from milk cartons with Jay-Z's face to AI-generated arrest videos, and each post is more savage than the last. He even posted a slideshow set to Bill Withers' Just the Two of Us with the caption, "Friends till the end, Jay, you still there?" Which is the level of pettiness that would make a reality TV producer weep with joy. But beyond the memes and the trolling, what we're witnessing is a complete shift in how the public views these so-called untouchable figures. The scandal has generated intense discussion and speculation across social media platforms, with people finally asking the questions that should have been asked years ago. Who knew what? Who was complicit? And how many victims suffered in silence while these men built their empires? The career fallout for Diddy has been swift and brutal. His attorney admitted in court that Ventura's lawsuit ruined his career, and that's probably the most honest thing anyone on his legal team has said throughout this entire ordeal. His music and business ventures have stalled, he's lost endorsement deals, and his carefully curated image as a hip-hop mogul has been replaced by the reality of who he allegedly really was all along. Meanwhile, the trial continues to reveal more disturbing details about the scope of this alleged criminal enterprise. The federal indictment alleges that from 2008 to 2024, Combs led a criminal enterprise engaging in sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. That's not just a few bad decisions. That's literally operating like a crime family. The systematic nature of these alleged crimes is what makes this case so particularly heinous. This wasn't random acts of violence. This was a calculated, organized operation designed to exploit and control vulnerable people. And the fact that it allegedly went on for over a decade shows just how protected and powerful Diddy thought he was. But here's what I find absolutely infuriating about this whole situation. The number of people who had to know something was wrong but chose to stay silent. We heard testimony about Usher, Nayo, and Jimmy Iovine witnessing an assault and doing nothing. We heard about multiple assistants who were arranging these events and procuring supplies. That's like watching someone drowning and deciding to look the other way because the person pushing them underwater has more money than you. The impact on the entertainment industry has been seismic. The case has sparked a #Me Too moment for hip-hop, with activists like Tarana Burke noting its significance. We're finally having conversations about power dynamics, about how wealth and influence can be used as weapons, and about how the culture of silence in entertainment has allowed predators to operate with impunity for far too long. What's particularly powerful about Cassie's story is how it's inspired other survivors to come forward. Over 70 civil lawsuits have been filed since her initial complaint, each one representing someone who found the courage to speak their truth because Cassie showed them it was possible. That's the ripple effect of one person deciding that enough is enough. The trial itself has been a masterclass in how justice should work when it actually works. We've seen prosecutors present video evidence, text messages, and testimony from multiple witnesses that paint a consistent picture of systematic abuse and criminal behavior. This isn't about celebrity drama or industry feuds. This is about holding someone accountable for allegedly running a criminal enterprise disguised as a business empire. And let's be real about something. The fact that Diddy has been held without bail since his September 2024 arrest, deemed a serious flight risk, tells you everything you need to know about how seriously the federal government is taking these charges. You don't keep someone locked up unless unless you have overwhelming evidence that they are dangerous and likely to flee or intimidate witnesses. The broader implications of this case extend far beyond hip-hop or even entertainment. This is about how power operates in America, about how wealth can be used to silence victims, and about how important it is for survivors to know that their voices matter more than someone else's reputation or bank account. What's also fascinating is watching how social media has played a role in this story. While there are no recordings from inside the courtroom due to federal court rules, the public has been following every development through news reports, courtroom sketches, and social media discussion. The narrative has been shaped not just by what happens in court, but by how people respond to it online. And speaking of online responses, the way this story has been covered and discussed shows how much our culture has evolved in terms of believing survivors. Compare the support Cassie has received to how victims were treated even just a few years ago. There's been a fundamental shift in how we approach these stories, and it's largely because brave women like Cassie have shown us what courage looks like. The downfall of Diddy represents more than just one man facing consequences for his alleged actions. It represents a moment when the entertainment industry was forced to confront its own complicity in protecting powerful predators. It's a reminder that no one is too big, too rich, or too influential to be held accountable when they harm others. As this trial continues and we await a verdict, one thing is crystal clear. Regardless of what happens in that courtroom, Cassie Ventura has already won. She broke her silence, inspired others to speak their truth, and showed the world that even the most powerful people can be brought down when someone has the courage to say no more. The empire that Diddy built may be crumbling, but from its ashes, we're seeing something more powerful emerge. A movement of survivors who refuse to be silenced, a culture that's finally ready to listen, and a justice system that's proving it can work when people are brave enough to demand it. That, my friends, is how you bring down a monster, not with violence or revenge, but with true courage and an unwavering belief that everyone deserves better than to be someone else's victim.
Right, gotta keep them there. Right, you need locks on the doors. Okay, this is sounding kind of dangerous now.
That clip used to sound like a joke, but now the feds are locked in. And Diddy, he's losing it as disturbing details emerge in court. From racketeering charges to witness manipulation to celeb names being dropped left and right, the case is unraveling fast. At one point, he even interrupted the judge to admit he was nervous.
The jury trial for Sean Puffy Combs has started and things are not looking good.
And now with a key witness potentially missing, the drama is far from over. Let me fill you in. Missing witnesses and courtroom drama. Hey, let me break it down for y'all about what kind of heat Puffy is facing in the courtroom. Diddy's federal trial popped off on May 5th, 2025 at the Manhattan Southern District of New York Federal Courthouse. The case, officially titled United States v. Combs, is expected to drag on for about 8 to 10 weeks, with the court grinding Monday through Friday like a regular 9 to 5. At the heart of the prosecution's case are 4 alleged victims, referred to in the legal paperwork as Victim 1, Victim 2, Victim 3, and Victim 4. While 3 of them have their identities on lock for privacy reasons, everybody and their mama knows Victim 1 is Cassandra Cassie Ventura, Diddy's ex, whose lawsuit back in November 2023 was the first domino to fall. The other 3 alleged victims got the green light to testify under fake names to protect them from significant embarrassment, anxiety, and social stigma because of the explicit nature of what they're expected to talk about. This protection makes sense given the sensitive allegations, which include claims of being forced into sexual situations with male prostitutes and being coerced into Diddy's infamous freak-offs. But check this, on day 3 of the trial, the prosecutors dropped a bombshell when they admitted they can't find one of these key witnesses, the one they call Victim 3. This unexpected plot twist could mess up the prosecution's game plan in a major way.
Prosecutors were dealt some seriously bad news over the last couple of days. They can't find one of the 3 primary witnesses.
This is massive because we all know that their case hinges on these unnamed victims that they've listed out in their indictment, plus victim number 1, which everyone knows to be Cassie. She will testify, but victim number 3 is where all the action is.
According to prosecutor Maureen Comey in court, victim 3 doesn't live anywhere near NYC, which makes it harder to get her in the courtroom. Despite their efforts to hit her with a subpoena, prosecutors are worried she might not show up even if legally required to. This unusual situation has Diddy's defense team pushing for answers, demanding that prosecutors let the court know their plan for Victim 3's testimony by the end of the week. The judge has told prosecutors to try harder to reach both Victim 3 and her lawyer, recognizing how important her testimony could be. But as of May 8th, 2025, the prosecution still can't reach either of them, which has people questioning whether this potentially crucial witness will ever take the stand.
You have a trial subpoena, you are legally obligated to show up and testify, and this is going to piss prosecutors off.
So you're bound, you're under penalty.
This development has got people speculating about why Victim 3 seems to be ducking the trial. While we don't want to jump to conclusions without facts, legal experts have floated a few possible explanations. She might have changed her mind about testifying, not wanting the stress and spotlight that comes with being involved in such a high-profile case. She could be worried about career blowback in the music industry, where Diddy still has mad connects even with his current legal troubles. There's the possibility of intimidation or pressure from people in Diddy's circle. She might just want to move on from the traumatic experiences instead of reliving reliving them in front of a jury. But keep in mind, these are just theories, and nobody really knows why she's ghosting the prosecution right now. What we do know is that her absence could weaken the prosecution's case, since they've indicated that victim 3 was supposed to provide some key testimony about the alleged trafficking activities.
Now, it's not that they can't do it, and there are going to be other people are going to testify who aren't victims necessarily, aren't alleged victims, but have witnessed the conduct that Diddy's engaged in. Prosecutors presumably have those people too on their witness list. We're going to find out as the case goes on.
Despite this setback, the prosecution is still moving forward, relying on testimony from the other alleged victims and witnesses who might have seen Diddy's behavior or been involved in his activities. These are expected to include a friend, a business associate, and a male sex worker, plus Cassie Ventura. The prosecution's whole case is built around the claim that Diddy was running what amounts to a criminal enterprise through his businesses, including Bad Boy Entertainment and Combs Global Enterprises. They're saying he used his employees, resources, and industry pool to facilitate his alleged crimes and keep control over his victims. This approach lets them pursue those serious racketeering charges that could put Diddy away for life if he's found guilty. Now let's talk about Diddy's defense strategy. His legal team, led by attorneys Mark Agnifilo and Tenny Giragos, is mainly focused on portraying all the alleged sexual encounters as consensual activities between adults. They keep describing the accusers as former long-term girlfriends who willingly participated in Diddy's lifestyle, which they frame as that of a swinger.
That is because she told them she had helpful information. And actually, they would have asked her a million questions. She would have stood up under... This woman had something to testify that was going to help prosecutors' case.
Besides challenging the nature of these relationships, Diddy's lawyers have been aggressively contesting certain evidence, demanding that prosecutors produce videos mentioned in the indictment, which they claim show adults having consensual sex, plain and simple, with no violence or coercion. This move suggests they're confident that the visual evidence will back up their side of the story rather than the prosecution. The defense caught an early W when Judge Subramanian ordered prosecutors to destroy materials they seized during a raid on Diddy's jail cell, ruling that the search violated attorney-client privilege. The materials reportedly included notes and recordings about Diddy's trial strategy, which his attorneys argued were improperly obtained and should be thrown out. However, the defense is facing some major hurdles, especially with allegations that Diddy has been trying to influence witness testimony from behind bars. Prosecutors claim he used other inmates' phone accounts and three-way calls to reach people not on his approved contacts list, potentially trying to shape their statements or discourage them from cooperating with the investigation. They also allege that he told family members to reach out to potential witnesses and orchestrated social media statements to counter specific allegations, like an Instagram post by Witness 2 disputing claims made in Dawn Richards' civil lawsuit. If these witness tampering accusations turn out to be true, they could seriously damage Diddy's credibility with the jury and potentially lead to additional charges. Another challenge for the defense is the hotel surveillance video showing Diddy allegedly assaulting Cassie Ventura. Despite their efforts to keep this footage out of the trial, arguing that it had been altered, CNN denied any manipulation, and the judge ruled it admissible. This video could significantly impact the jury's perception of Diddy and lend weight to the broader allegations of abuse and coercion. The defense has also made some strategic moves during jury selection, questioning potential jurors to identify any biases that might work against Diddy. They've challenged certain expert witness testimony too, successfully arguing against the use of coercive control, and psychologist Dawn Hughes' testimony, limiting it to coping strategies for victims. This suggests a strategy to limit the prosecution's ability to frame the allegations as abusive. During the initial days of the trial, Diddy has appeared in court wearing his own clothes rather than jail attire, opting for a dark blue sweater over a crisp white button-down, though his hair has noticeably grayed during his 7 months in custody, as hair dye isn't allowed in the Brooklyn jail where he's being held. This change in appearance from his typically polished public image provides a visual reminder of the serious situation he's facing. As the trial progresses beyond jury selection toward opening statements and witness testimony, the stakes continue to rise for both sides. The prosecution must prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt despite the complication of a missing witness, while the defense needs to effectively counter the mounting evidence and allegations against their client. The trial is expected to continue for another 8 to 10 weeks, with court sessions scheduled Monday through Friday. During this time, we anticipate hearing detailed testimony about the alleged freak-offs and the methods Diddy supposedly used to coerce and control his victims, balanced against the defense's portrayal of consensual relationships and willing participation. The allegations. The charges against Diddy are mad serious, no cap. He's looking at 1 count of racketeering conspiracy that can get you life in the pen, 2 counts of sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, each one carrying life with a minimum of 15 years, 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution, each with up to 10 years. The feds claim this mess spans a whole 2 decades from 2004 to 2024, saying Diddy was out here abusing, threatening, and forcing women into these drug-fueled sex parties he called freak-offs. Then supposedly, he threatened them to stay quiet so his public image wouldn't take a hit and to keep himself out of legal drama. For the record, Diddy is maintaining his innocence, pleading not guilty across the board. His legal squad keeps saying that all these encounters were consensual and that the alleged victims were just former long-term girlfriends who were involved in consensual relationships. They're basically saying Diddy was just living that swinger lifestyle, and there wasn't nothing criminal about what he was doing. The judge holding it down in this high-stakes trial is Judge Arun Subramanian, who President Biden put on the bench in 2022 before the Senate confirmed him in 2023 with a 59-37 vote. Judge Subramanian is only 45, which is young for a federal judge, and he's got the tough job of keeping everything fair and orderly in one of the most watched celebrity trials in years, according to a reporter. About 90 minutes into jury selection, Diddy asked for a bathroom break. When the judge questioned if he really needed one, Diddy raised his hand a little and admitted, "Your Honor, I'm feeling a little bit nervous right now." This is wild coming from a dude who's always been on his boss man energy. The same guy who threw those infamous white parties and ran through the industry like he owned it. Now he's sitting in court looking shook, facing the possibility of never being free again. That's a different kind of pressure. The trial started with jury selection, which was a whole thing by itself because of who Diddy is. The court had to screen more than 600 potential jurors, knowing it would be a struggle to find people who didn't already have opinions about the Bad Boy family.
Yeah, there's really been a flurry of activity, but you got to give credit to Judge Subramanian here. He is really starting to exert control over this case, and he has a schedule that he wants to keep. And part of that schedule is getting this jury selected by Friday. So as you mentioned, he's whittled down the pool. Remember, we started with over 600 potential jurors because this was going to be a hard case to find the 18 people you need, those 12 jurors and those 6 alternates.
By the third day, Judge Subramanian had narrowed this massive pool down to 45 people. And from those, they picked the final jury 12 main jurors plus 6 alternates. That's efficiency right there, showing the judge is on his grind to keep this trial moving despite all the complications. During jury selection, potential jurors were shown a list with over 100 names and places that might come up during the trial. The list had mad celebrities on it, including Kanye West, Kid Cudi, and Michael B. Jordan. None of these folks are accused of anything, but they might get mentioned when witnesses start talking or when evidence drops.
Kanye West, Kid Cudi, Michael B. Jordan. These names and other celebrities came up at day one of Diddy's sex trafficking trial in Manhattan. Those names were on a list of possible people whose names might come up at some point during what's expected to be an action-packed 2-month trial.
Seeing all these big names just shows how connected everything is in the entertainment world and suggests we might get a rare look behind the curtain of celebrity culture. But let's be clear, just because somebody's name is on that list doesn't mean they did anything wrong or were involved in any alleged crimes. While screening jurors, the court asked if they had any connections or feelings about these celebrities that might stop them from being fair. They need jurors who can look at evidence without bias, no matter which famous names pop up during the trial. The allegations against Diddy didn't just come out of nowhere when the feds got involved. They're the result of a whole series of lawsuits and accusations that have been building up, especially since November 2023. The biggest one came from Cassandra Cassie Ventura, Diddy's ex-girlfriend, who claimed he physically, sexually, and emotionally abused her throughout their decade-long relationship. Ventura's lawsuit got settled just one day after filing, for an amount nobody knows, and Diddy didn't admit to doing anything wrong. But once she spoke up, it was like she opened the floodgates, and mad other people started coming forward with their own stories about the music mogul. One of the key pieces of evidence in the current trial is a hotel surveillance video from 2016 that appears to show Diddy putting hands on Cassie. CNN got this footage exclusively, and it's straight disturbing, showing Diddy allegedly throwing Cassie to the ground near an elevator in an LA hotel, kicking her twice and trying to drag her away.
This morning, a look at the disturbing hotel surveillance video exclusively obtained by CNN of music mogul Sean Diddy Combs amid several assault allegations. The video from March 2016 reportedly shows Combs attacking his then-girlfriend singer Cassie Ventura, throwing her to the ground near an elevator in a Los Angeles hotel, then seen kicking her twice and trying to drag her away. Ventura's attorney responding to the video stating the gut-wrenching video has only further confirmed the disturbing and predatory behavior of Mr. Combs.
The judge ruled this video can be used as evidence in Diddy's trial, even though his defense team tried to block it. Having this footage could seriously impact how the jury sees Diddy and might make the prosecution's other claims about abuse and coercion seem more believable. After Ventura's lawsuit dropped, more than 63 additional civil complaints have been filed against Diddy, with lawyer Tony Busby announcing in October 2024 that he's representing 120 accusers, 60 men and 60 women, including 25 people who say they were minors when the alleged incidents happened. These lawsuits include all kinds of allegations: sexual assault, battery, false imprisonment, trafficking going back decades from the 90s to now. Many of these cases were filed under New York's gender-motivated violence protection law, which lets people sue even after the regular time limit has passed. This law is why there's been such a flood of civil complaints against Diddy. A allowing people to seek justice for stuff that allegedly went down many years ago. The sheer number of these allegations paints a crazy picture of systematic misconduct supposedly done by one of the biggest names in music. If they turn out to be true, we'd be looking at one of the most extensive patterns of abuse by a celebrity in recent memory, potentially up there with cases like Weinstein or Epstein in terms of scale and how long it went on. The case shaking the entire industry. First, let's talk about these conspiracy theories, because they've been spreading like wildfire across social media. When a high-profile celebrity like Diddy faces serious criminal charges, it's almost inevitable that speculation and rumors will start flying. But the theories surrounding this case have reached a whole new level of intensity. Some of these conspiracy theories involve claims about other major celebrities like Meek Mill, Beyonce, Jay-Z, and Justin Bieber, often with little to no evidence. One theory suggests that Meek Mill was present at parties involving underage girls and sex workers. Based on a lawsuit filed by producer Rodney Lil Rod Jones, Meek has straight up denied these allegations and even offered $100,000 for someone to investigate how his name got dragged into this mess. Other theories are even wilder, suggesting that Beyonce and Jay-Z are somehow connected to Diddy's alleged crime, with bizarre claims linking them to celebrity deaths like Aaliyah, Left Eye, and Michael Jackson. These allegations have zero credible evidence and are based mainly on people's interpretations of song lyrics and viral TikTok videos. There's also speculation that Diddy groomed Justin Bieber, supported by a resurfaced video showing a 15-year-old Bieber hanging out with Diddy and making plans to go get some girls. Similar theories exist about Usher, who spent time with Diddy as a young teen. These claims were further fueled by a comment from Khloe Kardashian in a 2014 episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and even an AI-generated fake Bieber song titled "Lost Myself at a Diddy Party" that circulated on TikTok. Some celebrities have been more directly implicated through legal filings. An amended complaint filed in March 2025 by Ashley Parham and 2 unnamed plaintiffs listed over a dozen defendants, including NFL star Odell Beckham Jr., who was accused of participating in a violent gang in 2018. Beckham strongly denied these allegations, stating he was nowhere near the location at the time and would never commit such acts. Similarly, comedian Drewski, Drew Desbords, was accused of Parham in 2018, but called the allegation a fabricated lie, noting that he wasn't even a public figure at that time and was living broke with his mom. These direct legal accusations are distinct from the broader conspiracy theories, though they still require proper legal evaluation before any conclusions can be drawn. Several major companies and brands have already distanced themselves from Diddy following the allegations. This corporate exodus reflects the serious reputational damage that has occurred, even before any verdict has been reached. For an entrepreneur whose brand was central to his business success, this represents a devastating financial blow, regardless of the trial's outcome. Some industry insiders have suggested that Diddy's case might represent just the tip of the iceberg, with potential for further revelations about misconduct in the entertainment world. This has created an atmosphere of anxiety within certain segments of the industry, with speculation about who might be implicated next. For artists who were closely associated with Diddy throughout their careers, the case presents a complicated situation. Many have remained notably silent, perhaps wary of being drawn into the controversy or of appearing to take sides before the legal process concludes. Others may be processing their own experiences and relationships with the music mogul in light of the allegations. The case also raises important questions about how the industry will handle Diddy's extensive musical legacy. As a producer and artist who shaped the sound of hip-hop and R&B across multiple decades, his creative contributions are significant. Yet if convicted, that legacy will forever be tainted by his crimes, creating difficult decisions for streaming platforms, radio stations, and other entities that distribute his music. As we look ahead to potential outcomes of this trial, several scenarios are possible, each with its own implications. If Diddy is convicted on all charges, he could face life imprisonment. Given the severity of the charges and his age, 55, this would effectively end his public career and likely lead to the dismantling of much of his business empire. A conviction would also potentially open the door to additional civil litigation from accusers seeking financial compensation beyond the many lawsuits already filed. The combined legal and financial consequences could be devastating, not just for Diddy personally, but for the many businesses and individuals connected to him. Alternatively, if Diddy is acquitted or convicted on only some lesser charges, he might avoid life imprisonment but would still face significant challenges rebuilding his reputation and business relationships. Even in this scenario, the public perception has been substantially affected by the allegations and evidence presented, making a full return to his previous status unlikely. There's also the possibility of a plea deal, though Diddy rejected an initial offer on May 1st, 2025. As the trial progresses and the strength of the evidence becomes clearer, both sides might reassess their positions. A plea deal could potentially result in a reduced sentence in exchange for guilty pleas to certain charges, providing some resolution while avoiding the full brunt of potential penalties. Regardless of the legal outcome, the social and cultural impact of this case will linger for years to come. It has already sparked important conversations about power, consent, and accountability in the entertainment industry. These discussions may eventually lead to structural changes in how the industry operates, particularly in terms of protecting vulnerable individuals from exploitation. As the trial unfolds over the coming weeks, we'll likely see more evidence evidence and testimony that will further clarify the allegations against Diddy. The prosecution's case will focus on establishing patterns of coercive behavior and demonstrating that Diddy used his businesses and resources to facilitate criminal activities.
As a reminder, Diddy is charged with very serious stuff, including coercing women into what he called freak-offs. Prosecutors have called them days-long coerced sexual performances.
Let's also talk about how this case has affected Diddy personally. During his 7 months of incarceration at the Brooklyn jail, where he's been held without bail, his appearance has changed significantly, with his hair noticeably graying as hair dye isn't permitted in the facility. This physical transformation visually shows the seriousness of his situation and the toll it's taking.
His hair, though, has been increasingly getting more gray in the 7 months that he's been locked up, because hair dye is not allowed at the Brooklyn jail where he's staying. As a reminder, Diddy is charged with very serious stuff, including coercing women into what he called freak-offs.
For someone whose public image has been carefully cultivated for decades, this loss of control over his appearance and narrative represents a profound shift. No longer able to manage public perception through social media posts, strategic interviews, or carefully staged events, Diddy must now contend with a narrative largely shaped by court proceedings and witness testimony. The financial impact has been equally significant. Beyond the loss of brand partnerships and business opportunities, Diddy faces enormous legal expenses for his defense team and potential settlements or judgments in the numerous civil cases against him. The combined effect could substantially diminish the fortune he amassed over his decades-long career, regardless of the criminal trial's outcome. There's also a broader question about the cultural reassessment of Diddy's career and influence. Many of his famous parties and public behavior that were once celebrated in the media are now being re-examined through a more critical lens. Comments and interactions that previously seemed harmless or were played for laughs on TV shows and interviews are now being scrutinized for potential signs of problematic behavior.
You need locks on the doors? Okay, this is sounding kind of dangerous now.
Justin, right now he's having 48 hours with Diddy. Where we hanging out and what we doing, we can't really disclose. I had legal guardianship of Usher when, he did his first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him.
These clips, which once might have been viewed as playful or innocuous, now take on potentially darker implications in light of the current allegations. This wholesale reevaluation of Diddy's public persona demonstrates how dramatically perceptions can shift when serious accusations come to light. The question of who knew what and when will likely continue to loom large, both within the trial itself and in public discourse. Were there industry figures who were aware of Diddy's alleged behavior but remained silent? Were there systems in place that enabled potential misconduct? These uncomfortable questions may lead to further soul searching within the entertainment world. Peace out, and we'll catch you in the next video. Click on the boxes on your screen.